Attention! We do accept super chats and memberships. All monies earned goes directly back into the channel to allow for more giveaways, prizes, and perks for our viewers and listeners. The cost of running shows like this can be expensive and timely, and we do it for you. If you can help support the channel, we greatly appreciate it. But if you can't, all we ask is you use your social media to share and support that way. We love and thank you in advance. Let's start the show. Oh yeah, man. The channel members, they're cool too. Shout out to our channel members: Saggy Melons, Benson's, Resident Justice, Prakash Wayne, DC Talk with Extended, That One Carlos, Caden Reed, Nick Carr, John Rodell, Justin Hines, Billy Robert, Adam Silvestri, Kiki Sphincter, Sean Adame, Nick DePalma, Roblox Marvel Ultimate. And remember, please be respectful.
You know, in the last couple of months, and really ever since the Snyder Cut, I have been pretty tough on Marvel. And I'm not going to lie to you. I've been holding back my unhappiness with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I have not liked the content. I think it's been mediocre. I think it has been less than mediocre. I think it's been okay. Even Shang-Chi, which I really enjoyed, I thought the third act kind of fell apart. And I'm going to say something. The guy who plays Shang-Chi was not as interesting as some of the other characters in those movies. And I really kind of had an existential crisis with the MCU. I literally thought to myself, maybe like Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon, I'm getting too old for this shit. I'm like, maybe I've lost that love and feeling when it comes to these movies. I didn't like Black Widow, but a lot of people didn't. I didn't get titillated by was it Loki? No, Loki was decent. It was all right. Falcon and Winter Soldier. WandaVision was okay. I really was kind of like, maybe I'm outgrowing this stuff. I mean, I'm watching this stuff pretty much all my life. I mean, the MCU is now going on, what, 14 years? 14 years, going to be about 15 when we get to 2022. Before that, I was in theaters to see Ben Affleck's Daredevil, the Bryan Singer X-Men. Before that, Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man movie. Blade, I saw in theaters as a little boy. Before that, growing up, I saw Tim Burton's movies as a little kid. Maybe I'd outgrown it. Maybe I'd kind of had enough because they were all starting to feel the same to me. Like I said, it's like you go to the same restaurant, order the same thing, the waiter tells the same jokes, and while your experience isn't bad, there's something missing. And I gotta say, going into Spider-Man No Way Home, I was very excited, but I was also very, very worried that we're basically going to get a decent, okay, average Spider-Man movie, but they're going to put some cameos in there. So I went in to see Spider-Man No Way Home with enthusiasm mixed with skepticism. It's the same way I approached a lot of MCU in the past year. And I got to say, I was genuinely surprised. I enjoyed this movie thoroughly. It almost seems like someone at Marvel watches this show, saw all the negative things I had to say, or we have said about the MCU, and then wrote a better script. But granted, this movie was already filmed months ago. And I mean, maybe a year ago probably is when they finished filming it, which means Marvel does know how to do good storytelling, how to inject actual drama into a story and not turn it into a 2.5-hour comedy show. And don't get me wrong, there are jokes in No Way Home, but there were not jokes when there should not have been, which happens in a lot of Marvel movies. You'll have a serious moment, and let's throw some humor in there just to let you know, guys, that wink, you're watching a comic book movie. This isn't real. Who the hell wrote Spider-Man No Way Home? Is it actually the person who wrote it? Or did like some ghostwriter sneak in and just write actual drama, actual tragedy, give you a third act that's actually heartbreaking, but beautiful? I was not expecting to say this, but Marvel may have made one of their better movies in a very long time. I definitely rank this above Endgame. I definitely, well, maybe not above Infinity War, maybe. It's up there, which tells me that Marvel does have the capability to do good storytelling. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and genders all across the spectrum, to today's episode of Jivin with Jack. I decided to save that, intro because I need to get that off my chest. You guys know how tough I've been on Marvel, and I haven't even said half of what I really thought. But I thoroughly enjoyed this film. It stayed with me. After I left the theater, the movie stayed with me. And for the two of you who are watching, and I think one of them is me, I think Ty forgot to tweet out the show. I hope you guys on your rewatch, which is most of you guys watch this on a rewatch, will hear my rant and join me. Today, we are talking Spider-Man No Way Home. We're going to get into spoilers. I know my co-hosts have talked it ad nauseum, but that's how good of a film is. It is that you can keep talking about it. You can keep talking about it. Yes, there was fan service. Yes, there were moments that, they did specifically like, when the meme when the Peters are pointing at each other. But see, that's secondary to a good story. So we also have a Flossing with Austin live. But to bring that in, let me bring in my co-host, my first of two co-hosts, Austin Lean 316. And he's muted.
Forgot to unmute myself because I did that little opening there. What's up, man? Hey, how's it going? Oh, man. What a week. What a week. What a weekend. Lots going on. Lots to talk about, as always. But how are you doing, my friend?
Yeah. Lodkin, yes, there were. But they weren't where I needed them to be. But I'll get into that later. We'll get into this. Lodkin, it's a good point. Whew. I had a great weekend. As soon as the movie was over, it stayed with me,
Yes. Oh, yes.
I enjoyed Shang-Chi, but as soon as it was over, I'm like, okay. And now Shang-Chi has been, has been on Disney Plus for a couple of weeks. I'm like, whatever. I'll catch it later. I'll catch it right before Shang-Chi 2 comes out. But there were very, very, very big effing expectations for this film.
Oh,
they were very high. And I thought it could here are the expectations, and they could literally just come up here, Like it could almost meet expectations. It exceeded the expectations, and it did not rely on the goddamn cameos. The cameos were great. They were amazing. But it heightened what was already a good story. I'll tell you the truth. Spoilers, when you saw the first person appear, which is Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, I had kind of forgotten about that. Like we've been talking for weeks. They're going to be in it. How much are they going to be in it? Is just, are we going to see too much of them? Or are they going to be in a little bit? I had forgotten because I was so invested in the story that was being told. I was so invested in what had just happened to Aunt May. And again, Marvel knocked it out of the park. And I wish, remember how I said like the Snyder Cut feels better because it has a little bit of TLC?
Yes.
Like someone's paying attention to the story. Someone's paying attention to the drama, actual drama. And yes, there are jokes. I'm not denying that. But like in a typical MCU film, like after Aunt May dies, someone would have made a quip or something. But no, it stretched out that moment. And that to me is the scene, the event that changes this film, that takes this film up a couple of notches. And then when you thought the film could not get any better, you have the ending, the solution to the multiverse falling apart. And it is heartbreaking. It is tragic. And it felt like Spider-Man. How you guys doing? Lodkin, how are you? Antonio, we're going to get to that Jake Paul fight. Gavin C., how are you, man? Good to see you. We're all talking Spider-Man. In fact, we may not even get to Jake Paul, but I'm going to try to. When, at the beginning of the film, when Peter is with Matt Murdock, first of all, I love that cameo. And he's like, don't worry, the charges have been cleared. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, That's, and I was like, oh my God, they set up this whole thing about people knowing who Peter is, and Peter killed Mysterio, and they're just like, yep, charges have been cleared. And I'm like, okay, so they basically absolved that like that.
Yeah.
But the issue of people knowing he's Peter Parker, he ends up becoming the brunt of conspiracies. J. Jonah Jameson goes full Alex Jones, and people react the way that you would think they would react to a superhero.
Real quick,
So
I gotta.
Yeah, go ahead.
I gotta step away for a second, but I just wanted to say I'll be back. I'll be right back. I gotta do something. Something came up.
Okay.
But I do want to say, yeah, I agree completely. Right. And something interesting just to yeah, I know something actually just came up that I gotta. But I'm sorry, kind of flustered because of it. But
good news.
No, I don't know. We'll find out. But the editor was on last night and stuff, and I know a lot of people have been talking, with all the leaks and stuff. And is it a good thing? The answer, people, is no. It is not a good thing. I just had to put that out there real quick in case for some God unknown reason I can't come back, but I'm probably going to come back in a little bit. So just wanted to share that. But I'll be back in a little bit. Something came up, and I just got to deal with it real quick.
All right. All right, go ahead. Do your thing, Colleen Wing. All right, I'm going to pull Austin out, and I bring in Caden Reed. Caden, come on in.
What's up, everybody?
Hey. Everyone, I don't know if you tweeted out the show, Austin tweeted out the show, but I don't think Ty tweeted out the show. I think, I don't know, maybe he did. Hopefully he did, because I only have 4 people watching. Or maybe I'm losing my edge, or we're losing our edge.
You're losing it, Jack.
Yeah, I'm losing it. I've lost that love and feeling. Listen, I know, Austin called me, I think it was Sunday night or Saturday night, after he'd seen No Way Home a second time. And I think he was kind of shocked by how much I really loved it. And I haven't used that word love with Marvel in a very long time. It was a great Spider-Man story.
Mm-hmm.
It actually put his back up against the wall, and it doesn't remove it from the wall. There is no ending where everything goes back to normal. If anything, he's probably now in a more precarious situation than he was even halfway through the movie. He's lost his entire support structure. He lost Aunt May. He lost Happy Hogan. The entire Stark machine that was behind him, all gone.
Yeah.
I love that. And I actually genuinely love that. Here we got, you never had an edge. I never had an edge. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Boo.
Boo. Justin Hines is a hater. Boo. The haters are allowed.
There we go. Aunt May was sad, but also pissed me off. Kevin Feige said we're not doing Uncle Ben dying again, but we did with May No Way Home. Same shit, different package to some degree. But here's the thing, Modkin. This is what I said about Spider-Man last week. What I felt was missing from the Tom Holland Spider-Man is the aspect of guilt. A big part of who Spider-Man is his guilt that he let Uncle Ben die. And we don't know if that happened. And I'm guessing based on what we saw in this last movie, Uncle Ben did not die the way he traditionally dies in the comics as a result of Peter's selfishness or bitterness or greed or whatever you want to call it. Remember, once Peter gets the powers in the comics, and this is shown in the Raimi films and this is shown in the Garfield film, he thinks about what can I do for myself? He thinks like a teenager. How can I do this to make money, to buy a car, to hook up with MJ? How can I make myself money? He's not like, I got to go out there and save people. It is after he is selfish and lets a criminal escape who ends up killing his uncle that the guilt hits him. And that's part of the tragedy of Spider-Man. If that aspect is not in it, it's not really Spider-Man. And they brought that back in a different way. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I see some people saying, oh, it doesn't hit them as hard. It doesn't feel like as Uncle Ben. But it's the same, it's the same aspect where it's like Peter loses someone because he was greedy and wanted to be selfish and help people.
Yeah.
And help himself.
Yeah.
And what he was helping was to cure these villains without realizing that, oh snap, one of these guys can just turn on me right away.
Yeah.
And now he, it's one of those things where he's like, he becomes selfish in that, and he's like, in that he becomes selfish in that selflessness. He thinks he knows all he knows that he thinks he can fix everything.
Exactly.
And it's that greediness of like, I can do whatever I want because I know I can do better. It's not that. It's more of like, you can help these people all you want, but they may not change.
Yeah.
So
real quick, Mod, can you say Uncle Ben doesn't exist in the MCU? I believe in Far From Home, the suitcase he packs has Uncle Ben's initials on it.
It has Benjamin Franklin Parker.
Parker, yeah. We just don't know if he might just passed away from whatever.
It could, and also like it could have been where instead, like, I mean, it could have happened the same way where where one night Peter and Ben go out, and only Peter comes home, because there was that line in Homecoming where she tells I think Ned or Tony or Happy that like that Shuri lost someone, not coming home one night. I can't have her do that again, So like there's that line, but like we don't know the context of that really. We just know that she had Uncle Ben. They had an Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
But we don't know how he was killed or died or that type of stuff. So it could.
Go
It could have like been into like this thing where, like, hell, he could have died on his own remark. Right. Or he could have died on his own remark where he was like doing his own selfish stuff,
Yeah.
And that whole thing where it teaches Peter not to be selfish that way, not to go on and do your own thing.
Exactly. And what makes this death, I would say, even more tragic than Uncle Ben's within the confines of the story, Peter has basically lost every adult. Remember, he's still a kid in this story. He just graduated high school, or was he about to graduate?
He was about to graduate high school, but then when all this stuff started happening, and when the spell happens, those records of him being in high school are erased, so he has to get his GED.
GED. As Chris Rock said, GED stands for good enough diploma. But here's the thing. He lost Tony Stark. He lost that one father figure. You could argue in a sense that was his Uncle Ben. But even at most Spider-Man stories, he still has Aunt May. If Clark Kent loses Pa Kent, he always has Ma Kent. He always has Martha. Save Martha.
Right.
He loses his mother. And
why'd you say that name?
To some degree, he loses Happy. I mean, Happy wasn't necessarily a father figure, but he was in his life. He was dating his. There had to have been some kind of what you call paternal responsibility to him. The one thing I'm glad they didn't do, I don't know if you got this feeling, but I did not get the father-son thing with Doctor Strange and Peter. I think Doctor Strange.
It was more of a.
He wasn't replacing Tony. He's not like, I'm going to show you the ropes, kid. No,
it was more of like, I can help you out, kid. So like, let me see what I can do. And it was like, it was a small fix. Clearly didn't fix anything. It just caused more problems.
Yeah.
Until the very end.
Yeah.
And even in the end, it caused more problems for Peter.
Yeah.
And he knows the responsibility of that spell, and he's like, okay, do it. I don't care. Do it.
Yeah. They try to change it, like, oh well, it's more about Ned and MJ not getting into MIT because of me.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, he could have still he had that scene where he goes.
Right. He's like, oh, I could have gone to that, and it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like it's like that. It's that selfishness where he doesn't. Yeah. He doesn't think. He only thinks about what can I do to fix it. Yeah. And
he's thinking like a kid. He's thinking like a kid. No,
he is a kid, and he thinks like it. And although he goes to this really smart school and everything, he still thinks like a kid.
He still thinks like.
And it's one of those things where and he learns from it. He learns from
saving these people. The idea is implanted in him by Aunt May when she meets Norman Osborn. Norman Osborn, not as the Goblin. She sees a helpless old man who looks at Peter, who's impressed with him. She's like, help him. Right. That's what she does at feast. She helps people. She doesn't judge people. they humanized the villains a lot in this. Said, hey, this is what happened to Norman Osborn. This is what happened to the Lizard, Kurt Connors. This is what happened to Sandman. You know, he wanted to see his daughter again. Obviously, those two actually live. This is what happened to Electro. And Peter realizes that in some ways, the easy thing would to just send them back. It's not my problem. And when he said that, I'm like, that's a very un-Spider-Man thing to say. I think fans are going to debate, should Peter have just let them go back and face their...
I think it was one of those things where he was like, okay, I can send them back. But then when Sandman and Lizard were like, and when Doc Ock says, oh, yeah, Norman Osborn died and you're dealing with a ghost, or you don't know, I don't know what you're dealing with. It's like one of the things where he's like, Peter's like now questioning, like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And then once he meets Norman, and then
Addie, welcome to Jivin with Jack. Depends what you're talking about. Rumors, yeah, but like, if you're gonna tell us like what's gonna happen in the Flash, don't do that. But like, specifically tell us which film you're talking about, and then Lotkin says Eric Summers says we want to pay homage to the Raimi and Webb films and make the fans happy, but you don't want to just do lazy fan service for its own sake because it'll ring false at some point. But see, I would say that I don't know, for me,
I think the fan service in this movie was the perfect fan service because it worked into the story. It wasn't just like
and they gave
yeah
closure to the Raimi films and the Webb films in a way that worked. Yes, you know, like Andrew saving MJ might be fan servicey, but what was the reaction to that? What was the result of it? It hit him. He was able to do what he could not do before.
It was closure for him. It was redeeming for him.
And we know that Peter and MJ from the Raimi films worked it all out. And Peter is back to being his dopey, you know, Peter 2, I think he is back to his Tobey Maguire dopiness, you know. And having those interactions with those characters, I thought worked for me. Andrew Garfield, I don't know who said it, was better as Spider-Man in this than he was his own films. I don't know if I go so far to say that, but the fan service was there because Peter realized he's all alone. And essentially when he says goodbye to these characters, when he says goodbye to Toby and Andrew, he's essentially saying goodbye to the only two people, his last support structure. At the end of the movie, and I thought the end of this movie was phenomenal. He goes to Aunt May's grave. No one knows who he is. He goes to tell MJ who he is, and he decides to let it go.
Yeah.
He moves to a crappy apartment in Manhattan. He has
me ready by the end of the month.
No Stark technology, none of that. He is on his own. No one knows who he is. He is nothing but Spider-Man. They erased Peter Parker. Think of the analogy there. Peter Parker is irrelevant. Spider-Man is all that's left. Talking about Black Adam, Casey said something about it. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Lodka is a spoiler telling us what happens in the story. We don't want to do that. Justin says, I think Peter 2 died. I don't think so because they would have focused. If he were to die, they would have killed him on screen. Which, by the way, I thought was what was going to happen when they stabbed him.
Right.
You know, like, oh, crap, they just killed Tobey Maguire. You know, like I thought that's what was going to happen. But see, they fooled me. When was the last time a Marvel movie fooled me? Why? Because they did kill Aunt May. And I was like, shoot, they might just kill Toby Spider-Man here too. Make it like a double whammy in terms of tragedy. But, you know, tragedy is something that's often missing in MCU movies. Or if they do, they kind of, sugarcoat it, Thor the Dark World, for all its flaws, had tragedy. He loses his mother. And it hits even more when he's able to go back in Endgame. Thor the Dark World had tragedy. There's really no tragedy, that much tragedy in the MCU movies aside from the bigger films, like, the ones that the Russo brothers did, or maybe Guardians 2 because he had to kill his dad, but like we just met his dad. We knew he was a villain, so but the tragedy is something that's been missing from the MCU movies. They had him in the Bryan Singer X-Men movies.
Peter Quill is a tragic character because he because the first time he's never met his father, and his mother his mother died of brain cancer, and then he was kidnapped by aliens, and to be delivered to his father, but he was never brought to his father. He was kept as
Yeah.
their worm to go wiggle in places and get things. And then he meets Gamora and Groot and them,
Yeah.
and then he and then when that happens, they, obviously go on that mission in the
Yeah.
first film.
Yeah.
And then the
My only
second
issue with
film,
that is that most of the tragic things that happen to Peter kind of happen off screen. And the issue with Guardians is that it is a straight on comedy. So like it doesn't hit that much. The death of Gamora and
the
Infinity War,
death of Gamora, and also
the death of Black Widow
and
and Endgame.
the reveal of Ego was the person that killed his mother.
Mother, yeah.
That his own father killed her.
But
And
aside from that, the MCU is very careful about avoiding tragedy. You gotta read these. I haven't read the comics in the last 15 years, so I could be wrong. But what made the stuff in the 80s and the 90s so great? It was the amount of tragedy. What makes the X-Men so compelling is the tragedy. What makes Daredevil so compelling? Karen dies of AIDS in the comics. One of the few things that Kevin Smith wrote that was amazing. The Born Again. Was it Born Again? No, it was the Guardian Devil. Whatever it was. That sometimes it seems the MCU is trying to avoid some of the best content in its own comics. And I was genuinely surprised they killed Aunt May. Let's talk about that scene where Aunt May gets hit by the glider. I was like, oh my God, they just killed Aunt May. And then she gets back up. I'm like, oh. I mean, not that I wanted her to die, but I was just like, that was a pretty violent strike. Goblin hits her right in the hips. And, I'm like, she shouldn't be walking. And like, in a sense, it seems like Marvel is being meta, like, yeah, you think we let her live because we're Marvel. But whoa. And then she just collapses and he starts bleeding out the back. And when she gave the line, it worked for me. Maybe, Mlotkin, you're right. It was repackaging, but to some degree, you're always going to have that. Every time you have a new director take on an IP, Chris Nolan repackaged Batman. Matt Reeves is going to repackage Batman. Zack Snyder is going to repackage Batman. We're going to probably see a fourth or fifth Thomas and Martha get killed. But it worked for me because that was his Aunt May. Like, she was arguably the most innocent character out of all of these. She didn't know what was going on. You got the U.S. government jumping down her back, threatening her that, you put a kid in danger. The U.S. government is saying this, but her death and not revival, and the moment lingered there. When she died, the camera stays on Peter. It's not like, let's go to the next scene so we start having jokes. It stays, and it's not really resolved, his initial guilt, until Toby and Andrew tell him, like, hey, I lost my MJ. I lost my Uncle Ben because I let a guy get away for selfishness because he didn't pay me the money I wanted. One act of selfishness cost my uncle his life. Andrew could not save the woman he loved, So we now, at least I think to some degree, understand that in the Andrew Garfield universe, there hasn't been an MJ post Gwen Stacy. He's still mourning her death and the guilt that he might have killed her. Like, had he grabbed her or tried to grab her, he might have saved her. We don't know. But the aspect of tragedy in Spider-Man has been absolutely missing in those first two films. A lot of people say, is this the perfect Spider-Man trilogy? I say no, because I think the first two were okay. I wish that they had done this in the first film or the second film. And, putting my attention to it, that's, I think, what I've been missing. I thought Zendaya, who I have not been a big fan of, not her personally, but her the way her character is portrayed, I thought she was phenomenal. I liked that she wasn't playing the same character in the first two movies. Like, yeah, I'm a moody teenager, like that kind of like. She actually had depth. I like that they cut out some of the extra crap, like all the other students, from the school. It's just Ned. It's just her. Even Flash kind of has he's got a small role. Flash.
Because it's funny how Flash. I think if we didn't have that moments of Flash being thinking that he's best friends with Peter Parker because he's Spider-Man now and everything, I think without those moments we wouldn't have the whole reveal of, oh yeah, you can just go talk to that college counselor.
Yeah.
And it's and that whole bridge fight, I think every character was integral to this movie, and especially with Toby and Andrew, they helped Tom's Peter and Spider-Man move forward.
It's what we do. It's what we do.
What we
That
do.
line. It's what we do. Again, I remember I said last week, I'm kind of worried that they're just hoping that, hey, fan service, guys, fan service. And I also have hope for The Flash, that bringing Michael Keaton back is not some kind of fan service to the older fans like me or the ones who are older than I am, that they're actually going to do something good with his character and do something good with Ben Affleck's character. But overall, you know, were there some forced jokes? Of course, this is Marvel. But I have to say,
I would say that line that May does to Doc Ock is like, "Do you want fresh water or salt water?" Like that was a bit. That was funny, but it was like it was forced.
They actually paid attention to cinematography. So you know, after Peter arrives with MJ, right after the events of the last film, and they're getting changed, there's just like this one tracking shot of Happy and May. And then they enter the bedroom, see that Peter, they think that Peter is, you know, and MJ are hooking up.
Right.
Oh my God, they did one kind of Scorsese kind of a Goodfellas shot. Oh my God, who came up with that? And then another good shot when Green Goblin has changed and we don't know, and they're in the apartment, and Peter just kind of does this, and the camera follows him in a very dramatic fashion, and he's looking around. Someone here is evil, and then he, you know, he realizes it's Norman Osborn. Pretty cool camera work. I'm like, hey, see you guys.
And also, like, we kind of knew that there was something up with Norman Goblin, like in like this, like, in like that scene when Doc Ock and him are talking about like it's good to be whole again. We're gonna have to be whole again. It's good to, and like he's like, yeah, it's good to be whole. Like you can tell that's not Norman talking. It's Goblin talking.
Yeah. You're just making my point that they could have inserted some drama and tragedy in the first two movies. I mean, Spider-Man's biggest tragedy up until this point was losing Iron Man, which happened in Avengers, you know. And they show him kind of dealing with the aftermath of it. But, like, anyway, I don't like Ned's joke. It overstayed its welcome at this point. It's no longer cute, funny. Again, I agree. There's too much humor, but I thought this movie in its serious moments didn't have that humor. You know, and that's what I needed. I needed the dramatic moments to stay dramatic. When Peter's about to effing kill Norman Osborn with the, you know, the glider, I didn't want to quip there. I didn't want to joke. And I would say, maybe I'm right? There's no humor, I think, after they say goodbye.
Yeah, like, there's like humor. There's obviously the Peter Parker humor in this, like between the three and all that stuff. And like you have the, you know, I think the humor there and the comedy that was there was to help the general audiences to feel normal when watching this movie. Because if you didn't have some of those scenes that, you know, the certain
humor is okay in Spider-Man. Peter Parker is quippy. You know?
And like I think it was helped to balance the way that the spell worked and everything, to like not like people would be like, what's going on with this and this and this? Like, no, it was like to help the general audiences feel like they're being like fed as well.
Yeah. Why was Electro the jokester? I kind of felt, even though this is supposed to be the Electro from The Amazing Spider-Man 2, that they kind of did a soft reboot with his character. You know, they made him look cooler. You know, they gave him a little cool outfit. I think they just need, first of all, they want to showcase Jamie Foxx a little bit more, because Jamie Foxx is an actor. He's a big actor, and they wanted to let Jamie Foxx be a little Jamie Foxx, because his character wasn't truly like viciously evil in that movie.
No, he was never viciously. Electro is never really viciously evil. He's just evil because, or he's a villain because he's one of those villains that are misunderstood. Yeah, and Max Dillon from the Tarzan 2 film is this guy who's he's a misunderstood person, and also he misunderstands people. He's that socially awkward person who feels like he knows everything, but then he feels like that everyone should know everything about him. He's
underappreciated, and he's not. Like, his whole thing was, it's a simple metaphor. Here's someone who has zero power, zero recognition, and he finally gets ultimate power, ultimate recognition, and he doesn't lose that power. He likes that he got the spotlight. There's a great scene in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 when he sees him. I think it's Times Square, and he's on a TV screen. That's what he wanted. Here's someone who got zero recognition except from Spider-Man. Now everyone's recognizing him. And dude, look at our culture. That's what Instagram and TikTok culture is. YouTube culture. We want to be famous. We want people to love us. We want people to give us likes, you know, and it's in a way an extreme version of that. So when they brought him in this movie, he didn't come off as maybe he reminded a little bit of a Doofy in Scary Movie. You know how they did Dewey in
right.
He kind of had this like, oh, which way did he go, George, kind of thing to him. And this, they're like, you know, we're gonna get rid of that. He just wants power. He doesn't want to lose that power. And the whole time, I'm like, he talks about how he loves the power, and Peter's like, all right, this is gonna drain your power, and he's like looking down, like, I don't want to lose my power. Okay, maybe Norman is crazy, maybe Doc Ock is crazy, maybe they've lost whatever it is, but I like that power. And so when he switched sides, I was like, well, obviously, I thought he would have been the one to give that speech, but you know, but I'm glad that it was Norman. I was like, hey, you don't want to lose this power, you know. And I was fine with that. I never really saw him as a jokester. Obviously, he had a little more humor. I really, if I had maybe one complaint, I don't think they really knew what to do with Sandman. He's kind of there.
Yeah, like it's funny because like
Kurt Connors had more, because Kurt Connors said this is all going to fall apart. He's like, so it begins. He was kind of there. Like I almost think the story could have
Sandman, because for Sandman it was more like, okay, when he comes in, he's like, oh, Peter, like he talks to him like he knows him, and he thinks he knows him, and he finds out that's not the Peter, that's not Toby, and so he's like, anyway, this is a Peter, so I'm gonna help out. Yeah. And so like it was like one of those things where like he still had a story where he was like, you know, like where it's like it was not a big one as big as Connors and the other ones. It was like a very small story where it was just like, okay, now he knows that now he's able to be with his daughter and his wife, you know? Yeah. That like redemption for him. Yeah. And I think honestly, Sandman might be the only one who was able to go back to that actual timeline. Mm-hmm. Like the actual Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 moving on timeline. While Norman and Otto, they were put into a branch version of like. Is that how you
saw it? Because I saw it like they go back to where they are, but they just don't continue being who they are. Like that's the way I'd like it is that same timeline, but now that timeline is altered.
So it causes a branch. So
Harry doesn't become evil. Like so you're saying like those films still happen, but these are now alternate timelines, maybe?
Yeah. So there's now two. There's two versions of Spider-Man 1 and two versions of Spider-Man 2 where Otto doesn't die and he's good, and then we don't know. What if Otto
we actually don't know, because I think they're dealing with multiverse, not necessarily timelines. So like when they're dealing with timelines and let's say Loki, that's like all right, branching timelines. I think they just went back to the universe and things
so
the same way that
Otto he became good and he destroyed the sun thing. Yeah. So he can still go back to that timeline and to destroy the sun thing and die. Yeah, while Norman, there is no like bigger threat that he caused where he has to die to sacrifice himself. Yeah. So he can go into that Spider-Man 1 movie and cause a branch timeline.
Lodkin, I think they were pulled out at certain moments. So Kurt Connors was pulled out before he was cured.
Yeah, he was because
or am I wrong there? I haven't seen The Amazing Spider-Man in a very long time.
He was probably pulled when when he falls down in that pit. Yeah. He was probably pulled when he's shot by Stacy, Captain Stacy's shot, because we see him with only 4 fingers. Oh. And when he's cured, he has back to 5 in the movie. In both movies.
But either way, my point is like he was technically whenever he was pulled out, because when both Peters, Andrew and Toby are pulled, it is quite clear that some time has passed for them. Like
I think it's like 2 years for Andrew and like 10 to 15 years for Toby.
So it's not out at different times.
Yeah. So it's not for long when Andrew's pulled, but it's quite a long time for Toby, because obviously Toby's it's been 17 years since his first movie, so obviously it's gonna have
19 years now. 2002. It's gonna be 20 in about.
Well,
10 days.
17 for the Spider-Man 3, right?
Spider-Man 3 was 2007, so about 14 years. Right
Yeah,
before Iron
14.
Man.
So yeah, so like it'll be like 15 years since like he's been pulled. So he's been 15 years since that movie, and since 15.
Yeah, so obviously he's
15
much
years.
older. I also thought, I thought Tom Holland's best performance was in this movie.
Yeah.
He wanted to kill Goblin. Interestingly enough, that's the shield he's sitting on when he tries to kill Goblin, the same way that Captain America 2 almost did kill that one dude in Falcon and Winter Soldier. You know what I mean? Like he took the shield and he killed the guy in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Right.
And they're fighting on the shield, and it's on the shield that he's about to, kill Goblin.
Notice how in Hawkeye, when when Yelena's talking to Kate and she's like, "Oh, I want to visit the Statue of Liberty because of that mess that happened," or like,
yeah.
And so it's like it, and now we know, especially after that ending of Spider-Man.
Yeah, Rockefeller Center. Yeah.
And the Hawkeye, you can tell that Hawkeye takes place after this movie.
Yeah.
Because
and this episode looks like it's going to take place after. But yeah, that drops tonight though, doesn't it? And you guys are going to do a watch party, right, for the finale?
I believe so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that. For Hawkeye, and I just got to say, I know the Multiverse of Madness trailer kind of popped up afterwards, but I hope Marvel learns a lesson that their stories, big or small. Oh yeah, you like that? Are you the one who keeps changing it to Ty?
No.
Oh, so he's doing that. He keeps changing my avatar to him, so I got Lumpy as my avatar. And I hope moving forward, Marvel realizes that even if it's a solo film, there has to be some stakes and there has to be some element of tragedy. What I like about The Dark Knight is, Batman's whole thing is, if I can get Harvey Dent to help Harvey Dent, then the city doesn't need Batman. I can go back and live my life. I can marry, what's her name, Rachel Dawes, and live my life. And the Joker just blows her the hell up. And he kind of has this existential moment, like, what the hell am I supposed to do? My whole thing was that I was going to marry this woman, let Harvey Dent be the White Knight, but in order for me to live my life, I have to become the Dark Knight. That's why that movie is really good. But, Peter, all he has left is Spider-Man. The ending kind of reminded me a little bit of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where after Gwen dies, there's a period of mourning, and then he hears Gwen's graduation speech, and he's like, all right, no, I got to go out there and be Spider-Man. That's who I am. That's all I have left. It's a gift and a curse. As Goblin says, these are gifts, not curses. Hearkening back to the first one when Peter said, this is my gift, this is my curse. Who am I? I am Spider-Man. And at the end of this film, he is Spider-Man. There's no Peter Parker left. Like, does he still have his social security number or anything? Or I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, that's like that. It's like that's the thing. Like what's the extent of this spell? Like,
yeah.
Like we know that it erases all the footage and of that whole Mysterio stuff and all the newspapers and stuff.
Yeah.
Because,
and by the way, I gotta say something about Doctor Strange. Bit of a dick in this movie because he keeps saying this is Peter's fault. I'm like, no, dude, you're the adult. You were told not to do it, and you still did it, and then you're telling the kids to Scooby-Doo this crap. It's like, that's on you. You keep making
that's what MJ's like, and MJ's like, it is your fault too.
Yeah,
right?
It is totally his fault.
Like,
if he didn't do the spell right, then that's his fault. And
like,
Wong warned him. Supreme warned you.
Like it's funny how he should have told Peter, like, don't talk,
Mm-hmm.
Like, tell me everything you want me to know first, and then hold on.
But again, this goes back to the whole idea that Doctor Strange is kind of impulsive. That, yes, he's very arrogant. Go back to that first movie. I think Doctor Strange is a very underrated solo film. In Doctor Strange, he's an incredibly arrogant person. He's arrogant in Infinity War. And he continues to be arrogant in this movie. And I wonder if that arrogance kind of helps lead to the whatever the hell happens in Multiverse of Madness, the multiverse. Pardon me. But like, I thought Doctor Strange really I mean, obviously there would be no story if he did the spell right, but he was not the adult he was supposed to be. You contrast that with Tony. Tony knew wanted to take Spider-Man out of the game. He didn't. He took him out of the game. You're done. And at the end of the airport battle, you're done, kid. You're done. You're going home, or I'm going to tell Aunt May. And then in Infinity War, he did not want Spider-Man to help him. He's actually mad. He's actually mad that Spider-Man went up there and then died on a barren planet, turned to dust. Tony was more responsible. And I'm kind of glad a lot of people said, oh, you know, Doctor Strange, he's going to be the new Iron Man. He's going to be the new, I pulled in everyone. I think Caden, everyone's absent today. It's just me.
I'm back.
Oh, Caden's back. All right. But like, oh, he's going to be the new father figure. And they didn't do that. I kind of liked it. As I think Blodkin, you said, more like a coworker. In some ways, Strange talks to him like he's an adult. He's like, I keep forgetting you're a kid. But I hope in the next film, he shares some of the blame for this happening. Like, you were warned by the Sorcerer Supreme, just like you've been warned many times not to do something, and you do it. What did Mordo say? The bill always comes past due. And I think that the next film has the potential to be as good as this, or at least as interesting as this film.
Because you see in the teaser for Doctor Strange 2 that he mentions like it's that line pulled from that scene when he's with the big purple portals around him. He mentioned
Spider-Man, man. This is all you, brother. Get those super chats ready. Sorry.
He mentions like that, like they're coming. They're like, I can't stop them.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. And then he does a spell, and then it's like the spell has major ramifications. You know, it just like the first spell broke open the multiverse after obviously Sylvie and Loki opening it even more, and then this opened it even like wider, and that spell kind of closed it for a period of time. Yeah, but it's still open. You know, so there's still ways for multiverse leaks, you know. So it's like one of those things where things can leak into the MCU.
Damn it, Andrew, you missed so much. Where the hell have you been? Make sure to rewatch it later. We've been talking about this, but now that you're here, Andrew, it was great. And you know what? In some weird way, this movie kind of redeemed Spider-Man 3 for me. I mean, not that I'm going to go back and start rewatching that movie because I love it, but it kind of redeemed some of the campiness, you know, like he's like, I fought a black alien, and I had this whole existential crisis. I'm like, you know, that was good. Did they CGI Alfred Molina or Willem Dafoe? Because Willem Dafoe's kind of looked like he's pushing.
Willem Dafoe, I think he was DH just like a little bit, but not fully.
Yeah, because he always looked old. Like in Amazing, in Spider-Man 1, I thought he was in his 70s there when I was a kid. He was actually in his 40s.
But with Alfred, he revealed that he was DH like 20 years.
Yeah, because he was clearly in his 50s when he did. He was in his 50s, I think, when he did Spider-Man 2. But you know, some people have been saying, does this mean the MCU started in 2002? Oh my God, I don't know. That's a conversation for greater minds than mine.
Or you can say it started with Blade.
Maybe. But now we know that
one of those like campy Captain America movies or whatever, you know.
Yeah, but you know, I gotta say, I was so worried that this was gonna. And Mlodkin, I'm getting the vibe that you didn't like this that much. You still had issues with this. And by the way, that's what Jivin with Jack's for. We don't get mad at you if you have a different opinion than us. So we're not gonna be like you, son.
Mad.
Yeah. Which could this? So that's the $1 million question. I think more people are saying. Amazing Spider-Man 3 might get greenlit more so than but would it be another theatrical release, or maybe Andrew's Spidey shows up in Venom 3? I don't know, but so here's what I'm wondering. I wonder how much of a hand Sony had in this, because this movie was really different than the other Marvel movies that came out this year. You know, like it feels like every movie this year and TV show has been some kind of messaging about, you know, race, gender, politics. And this movie's like, none of that. We're just going to tell you a story. We're going to tell you a story, and that's it. We're going to tell you a good story. And I wonder how much of that was Sony. Sony's like, yeah, no. Yeah, like, yeah, we'd like to do some, like, commentary about society. And they're like, nope, just tell a story. I'm wondering how much of that was Sony. I don't know. But I would like to see, Sony doesn't have a streaming service, does it?
I mean, it's partnered with Netflix, Stars, and Disney Plus.
Stars and Disney Plus. Maybe they could do. You know what? I'd be happy with a 1 hour or 2 hour movie on Netflix or Disney Plus. Multiverse. Just give us a Tobey Maguire. Let's touch base with him. Let's touch base with Andrew Garfield. I mean, the age of streaming. If you had told, look, I'm a Star Trek fan. TV analogy. In 2002, we saw Captain Picard for the very last time. We saw the last time we saw Commander Data and all that beloved cast from that beloved show that outdid the original series. And that was it. And lo and behold, Star Trek Picard season 2 starts in 2 months. Streaming allows us to revisit characters that we had long since said goodbye to. Michael Keaton is coming back as Batman. Think about that. Like, no one would have guessed that. And with each passing year, the idea was like out of this world. It would never happen. So, look, the reaction to Toby and Andrew has been good. I'm not saying they need a big theatrical film. Maybe that's what Sony would like to do, but I think it could be weird if we have 2 solo Spider-Mans out there. I mean, maybe it could work. Maybe it could work. It's never been tried. I mean, we're going to have 3 Batman on screen, but only one of them is a solo Batman movie. I think, Andrew, why not? Why not? Fortune favors the bold. Do it. Sony, do it. Marvel. People understand. People were not confused in the theater when we saw 3 Spider-Man. They're like, no, they knew. They understand multiverse. Give audiences the credit they deserve. They understand that there are 3 different universes with 3 different Spider-Man, and next year we're going to see 3 different universes with 3 different Batman. Go ahead and do it. Make Spider-Man 4. Make Amazing Spider-Man 3. Maybe it's a miniseries. Maybe you do one miniseries where Toby enters Andrew Garfield's world. Why not? Have fun with it, because we are willing to pay. Look, the box office has been dead since COVID. And Spider-Man No Way Home just had the 3rd largest opening of all time behind Avengers 3 and 4. So people want to spend their money. Omicron be damned. They want to spend their money. If they're going to spend their money, give them what they want. If you give fan service with good storytelling, it's okay. It's okay. That is why the last 5 minutes of season 2 of The Mandalorian were better than the entire new trilogy, because fans wanted it done right. And you didn't do it right with those movies, despite what Austin says. Sorry. Okay, going on a little bit of a rant here.
I think TASM 3 might be more of a possibility than Spider-Man 4, honestly, because I don't feel say,
I think he's 46 now.
Yeah, he's pushing that age, and also it was hard to get him to do this movie.
Yeah.
It took him, he was like one of the last people to sign on, and it took him read contract deals and probably a lot of negotiating between those 3 contract deals.
Yeah.
To figure out what exactly.
I didn't realize Toby hasn't really acted much. I went to his IMDb portfolio.
No, he's becoming more of a producer.
He hasn't acted in a while, on screen. Really. Just doesn't say he's such a great actor. Where is he? But
he's in Damien Chazelle's Babylon now. That's just wrapped about in October.
Oh, I did not know that. That's kind of interesting. That's kind of cool. But yeah, Modkin says, wouldn't it be cool if we saw Brandon Routh and Henry Cavill in an upcoming Flash movie? The very fact that, look, I just started watching The Witcher season 2 with my sister. We have 2 episodes left. And I'm like, God damn, this man has charisma and personality. And look, I will say Marvel gives you mediocre takeout, and then once in a while gives you a phenomenal 5-star, 6-course dining experience when it comes to movies like No Way Home or Civil War or Winter Soldier. But DC right now just seems more and more lost. I mean, look, I know we say the restore of the Snyderverse is unlikely, but they could still pick up the threads. They could still get Henry Cavill back. The guy is a huge star. I was just watching him on the Graham Norton Experience, which he did with Tom Holland and Zendaya. And he's talking about how he's heard rumors that MGM, he's one of the top people to play James Bond. He's young. He's good looking. From every metric we can gauge, everyone loves Henry Cavill. The guy plays Warhammer. He's painting figures and he's talking about it. I'm like, this is a good guy. Why not make a Spider-Man movie? And I know Matthew Vaughn said something I agree/disagree with. Kay, did you see that, Matthew Vaughn? I think you're the one who sent it to me. That, I think they should do Man of Steel 2 and Batman vs. Superman was a mistake. I'm like, dude, first of all, shut up. Yeah, they should do Man of Steel 2. They can make it more fun, but don't make it too fun. Don't give me like a Marvel-esque movie. Make it more like No Way Home, where there are consequences. Rishi Bhatka says Emma Stone as Spider-Gwen variant. Well, now you're talking my language, Rishi. Mlodkin says, hell yeah.
I mean, that was a plan. Well, like, more, like, because so with that whole thing, like, 2003, like, before was, like, this, they're combining, like, 3 or 4 storylines into one and, like, changing a lot about those storylines. But it's, like, 4, like, it's not, like, 4 small storylines that you can, like, combine. It's, like, 4 huge storylines that needs to be their own trilogies or their own duologies or their own movies. And they were trying to combine it. Like, Sinister Six, Clone Saga, and Venom need to be their own 3 movies. And they were changing the Clone Saga so much where it was like, oh, the way they're able to make clones is because of the blood that Richard had for so long from Peter, and instead it was going to be like this whole thing where they're going to bring back Gwen with Peter's blood, and now she's like a clone of Peter, but still Gwen, and now she has powers, and then the Venom symbiote was going to take over her, but then she was going to turn into Carnage, and then same thing and then they were going to bring back George Captain Stacy, and then he was going to turn into Ben Reilly, which was it was going to be so weird, and and then Sinister Six as well. Like, you had to deal with this, like the first part of the Sinister Six movie was going to be in this, and it was just going to be like a whole lot. So I definitely think that with Task 3, they're going to obviously change those things into a more simple story, because you have to. You can't start off a new start for this from
can be a troll here. Like, they give him money, Andrew, but give us money first, please.
It's like, you can't just give.
What did Caden just say? He just said that they had to really try to get back. He might not want to do it. This might have been his au revoir. And after the turd that Spider-Man,
and I think he's like he wants to let the current Spider-Man shine. He doesn't want, because if you bring back Toby, who's going to outshine Tom? Toby's going to outshine. If they bring back Andrew and keep on Tom and bring back Toby's going to outshine all of them. And then Tom's movies might not make as much money. Andrew's movies might not make as money as they were. And Toby's will make a lot more money. And that, what they'll tell them? To stop Andrew, stop Tom, and do more Toby. And all people want is one more movie.
Yeah.
They don't want a whole nother trilogy. They want one movie. But they're going to look at that.
5-part miniseries.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Just a one shot, because Andrew still looks great.
Andrew still looks
the same. I think he's a year.
And I think Andrew won't outshine Tom. I think it'll be sharing the spotlight, but Toby will outshine them both because of the nostalgia and the bringing back my childhood hero vibe from it.
Yeah.
And so it's not going to be as good to business. It's not going to be good business for them, honestly, because it may think like, oh yeah, like for Toby, bringing back Toby's gonna be cool and everything for a movie. But no, you really have to think about, like, if they have Tom's trilogy going on, like college trilogy or whatever that trilogy would be called, that going on, and then you have Andrew having his movie or a duology, and him possibly in the Sonyverse, then you have that, and now you're bringing back another Spider-Man that people love from their childhood, and they have a diehard fan base, and bringing back these people, he will outshine. Like that was like
Maybe
one of the major questions. That was one
possible.
of the major questions when like, oh, what would
Well, here's
happen
the,
when?
here's the thing. Let me address this. He only came back for a paycheck. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he did.
Maybe he did. Maybe
Maybe,
I think it
maybe
was more of like it needs to like. I'm sure it was like one of those things where like
by the
contracts
way,
don't just have like money like involved it like with closures and clauses on the contract. It tells you like the story that you're going to deal with, and so I'm sure the story that the first contract was, it was like, oh, you're going to do this and this and this, and maybe Toby didn't want to do that. So then they
yeah.
were like, let's find a middle ground, and they found that middle ground. But then Toby didn't want to
And
fill
by the
that
way,
middle ground.
even if he did it for the money, I'm a capitalist. Good for you, Toby. Good for you. You earned probably I don't know how much money you got, but I'm guessing it was a decent size. I don't think you got like $200,000. You probably got a couple million. Good for you. And look, listen, you guys are too young. In 1995, your boy Jack here was like 7 years old. Refused to go see Batman Forever because they replaced Michael Keaton. Even as a 7-year-old, I was a fanboy. I said, nope. He turned down $15 million to be in that movie. And here we are 27 years later, and he's back. So,
Yeah.
money is a factor, and he has to be promised that it's something interesting. So, I'm
Yeah,
with
and
you.
also I'm sure
I don't know if it would be on the big screen, though. It would have to be.
no, it's gonna be something like it's gonna be. I think they like, and if they do like bring back Toby, it's like you said, it's not gonna be like for a movie that it's not gonna be like a big screen event because again, it will outshine both Andrew and Tom. It will like, and then and like them saying this is the last, this one movie, and this is gonna be the only one.
Yeah.
And you see that movie in theaters, you'll be like, I want to see that more of that. I want to see more of that.
Yeah.
You're not going to because this is the
Yeah, but
last movie.
here's the thing, Andrew. Are you willing to risk that maybe they bring Toby back and his farewell is actually a farewell? Like they kill off his character, like
Yeah.
this is one last ride. Like, would you want that either? Like,
Be
I could
like,
see
oh, I'm mentoring my daughter Mayday to become
maybe
this.
Toby says, like, yeah, bring me back, but like you're gonna have to kill me off,
Right. Be like, oh, do like a Mayday Parker story where he's, where he's in that Endgame leather suit.
Yeah.
And
So
like,
I mean, honestly, I'm down for it. And again, that's the beauty of streaming. There was a time not that long ago where TV shows special effects were just bad. They were not that good because they didn't want to spend the money. But now in the era of Disney, what they're doing with The Mandalorian, the Boba Fett, what they're doing with the new Star Trek shows, the CGI is as good as it is in the films. So you could make an excellent streaming episode. Look, so far, I think so far MCU television on Disney Plus has been bleh.
Also, like Milan says that
great. So if they
also, like
wanted
Milan
to
says,
Sony,
yeah, like Milan says, Andrew. I mean, not Andrew. Toby doesn't like the spotlight. He doesn't, and like it's one of those things where he's more of a to himself type of guy where he does projects that speak to him. And
again, Andrew, what it might come down to, he probably won't want to do it. He'll be like, here's a blank check. Lotkin, you're right. Tobey Maguire himself isn't a big movie star, but him as Spider-Man, I mean, look at the excitement. They wouldn't have brought him back unless they knew it would bring more asses to seats during a pandemic. I was actually wondering if the box office would be kind of slow because of the pandemic. They knew it played a factor. Was it the only factor? No. But knowing that Tobey Maguire was going to be back, he still has star power in that role. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean, right? Like, he may not be like, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson on the big screen, but as that character, people will see him. And I also dare say the same thing about Henry Cavill. If Henry Cavill to return as Superman, I think whoever makes it, Man of Steel 2, without Zack Snyder, with Zack Snyder, doesn't matter. That will, because now he has star power. Now people know who he is. He's a recognizable figure, when he really wasn't in 2013 or 2016.
Yeah. What's up?
No, like, guys, stop fighting. What I'm saying is, Andrew, that maybe money could be the last factor. Like, look, we think that actors love these characters as much as we do. Harrison Ford was done with Han Solo after the
Yeah.
second. He wanted to die. He's like, dude, George, kill me off. And George's like, shut up. We're not killing you off. And the only
Right.
reason he agreed to do the Force Awakens, like, please kill me off.
Yeah.
And then when they interviewed him, like, hey, Harrison, are you excited about the new Solo movie? He's like, no. Like,
He's like,
we these
no,
people.
he was like this. He was like, I'm not excited, but I'm very happy that they're doing it with Alden. Because he doesn't like Han Solo. He doesn't like doing the character. He liked doing him in the first time, but he realizes that it's not the role that put him on the spotlight.
Yeah.
It was Indiana Jones that did.
Actors will tell you, it's weird. You talk to actors who we know associate with great role, like popular roles. More often than not, that's not their favorite role. They like roles that people don't know about it. Patrick Stewart once said this. Patrick Stewart's greatest performances as an actor have probably never been seen. His King Lear, his Richard III.
Oh yeah, like it's all on stage plays.
That's
and,
his best performances. What is everyone going to remember? Captain Picard and Professor X.
Yeah, and also I think
which is a shame. Same that William Shatner said something. See, him and William Shatner had a conversation, and then Patrick Stewart said, "I had to come to grips with the fact that when I die, I will be remembered only for Captain Picard and not the other movies and other roles I have done, where my acting was even better. But they'll know me for Patrick, you know." And I think for someone like for him, Spider-Man was great, but like that's not what he wants to be remembered for. He wants to be remembered as an actor for other stuff.
Same with Ian McKellen. He's only remembered for Magneto.
Yeah.
And
Gandalf.
But he's done other amazing roles.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, like, especially, and also like Hugh Jackman. People only know Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Again, that's a shame because he is a very good actor.
He's a very good actor. And
did you see that movie he did with Jake Gyllenhaal, where the daughters are kidnapped? What the hell? Prisoners.
Oh yeah.
Best performance I've seen, at least. I haven't seen all of Hugh Jackman movies, but one of his best performances. But yeah, he'll always be known as Wolverine. And we think that they love that attention, but they're like, yo, I do other things. I'm an actor. I've done other movies. Christian Bale, he's got 2 Oscars now. 2. But he's always been like, hey, he's the guy who played Batman.
Or
like,
Psycho.
Or American Psycho. Again, that's a great performance.
Yeah.
Batman might be one of his weaker performances, retrospectively.
I also like him in Vice, where he, you know.
Oh, yeah, Vice. He played Dick Cheney. That's his second Oscar. The point is that for us, we look at Toby, we're like, oh, he's Spider-Man. He's my Spider-Man. He was my Spider-Man.
But he was in Great Gatsby. He was in
that exact same spot where you see the Justice League poster. I had a 2002 theatrical poster of this Andrew Garfield, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man when it came out. A theatrically sized poster that was laminated. He was my Spider-Man.
Is it the one with the towers?
No, it's the one where he's like this. Those tower ones were hard to find.
Yeah, they are.
Really hard to
I know
find.
someone has 2. I know someone has 2 of them, and one of them is signed by Toby and Princeton and Sam. I was like, wow, that's great that you have that poster signed by those 3.
Anthony, it may not, but if Sony works with Disney, like, you know, if they do it that way, you never know.
Yeah, I think Raimi's would more like to work with Marvel Studios. So if they were to be like, hey, Sony, we know that, you know, you have some problems with this director, but if we're involved, maybe he would like to come and do it. And maybe Sony's like, okay, yeah, if that's the only way we can do it, if you're involved and if you're involved and do, like, okay, then yes, we would like to be involved. Yeah, and let's do it. But it's only because of Marvel's involvement. It's not going to be because of any other producing team. It's only because of Marvel Studios and Disney's involvement. Because Sam has a good relationship with them.
Sam does, and you never. Yeah, look. Time heals wounds. Sam Raimi might be upset with Sony, but that was 14 years ago. I don't know if there's a new team of people at Sony right now that he might be willing to work with. Toby might be willing to work with. And again, we're speculating here. For all we know, they say, nope, this was the goodbye. You got to see Toby and Andrew one more time.
Right.
We closed out their characters. We're moving on. We still got Miles Morales to do. We still have to set up that story at some point. So, you know, that's okay. But what I see, like the passion that Andrew's talking about, I get it because I grew up. Look, I'm getting my Toby back with Michael Keaton. But like, I'd also accept the fact that he was never coming back. I mean, I made that 97 when Batman and Robin came back. I'm like, there's no way Michael Keaton's ever come back. They just shit the, I was 9, 10 years old, But I'm saying never say never. And money talks. And if they have a pretty good story, maybe it's a streaming for Disney Plus or Netflix or whoever Sony decides to do a deal with. And Toby says, you know what? No, I'm done. And they say, here's Robert Downey Jr. money. How much did you make for Spider-Man 3? We'll double that. He might just do it. And doesn't make him a bad guy. It just means that he's looking out for his own interests. He wants to, and by the way, sometimes actors do these types of movies so they can have money to make their own projects. Look at Lucas. He took this $4 billion and he's making movies that no one else is watching. He literally said, I'm going to take this $4 billion that Disney's going to give and I'll make movies for myself. Movies that studios will not make.
Right.
And we don't understand that because we're like, dude, you're Spider-Man. You defined a generation. You kicked off a new era of comic book movies, good comic book movies. And he might be like, yeah, you know what? I'd rather do The Great Gatsby. I'd rather do, movies like Seabiscuit. I'd rather do types of movies that challenge me as an actor. So it can go either way. Sam, how are you? Last night, it was amazing. Ty interviewed the No Way Home editor. Oh, yeah, guys, definitely check that out. I forgot that. Yeah, they did it last night. They were supposed to do it Saturday. I don't know what happened there. But Austin and Ty worked together again. See? If that can happen, Raimi and Sony, no problem. Anything can happen, guys. Check out that interview. This man worked on the movie that we're all talking about. And if you missed out on it, you missed out on some, but maybe, look, he's been on twice. He might be back a third time. So maybe watch the interview, learn. For those of you who weren't interested in getting into film, maybe you could learn something. That's what we're here for. We're here to teach you, help you, guide you, mold you. Not so much me, but the other guys. But seriously, that's it was great. Showcase and Pop Culture Corner might be getting, for lack of a better metaphor, into bed a little bit more. So guys, stay tuned for that. Showcase and us. Stuff is happening. Took a year to get here. But here we go. Lodkin, I do actually pay attention to Hollywood stars, but okay, you know what? None of this. Usually I encourage fighting, but it's the last couple of weeks it's gotten out of hand. Anthony, I understand what Lodkin is saying. I understand what Anthony's saying. Yeah, Andrew said the same thing. He's like, I'm done. I'm done.
But I think it was more of like, because with
27 years ago, and he's back. If the
but I
script
think it's because Andrew's career wasn't like putting us in a microscope. And after that, it was like, okay. But Sam Raimi was followed after Spider-Man 3, wherever he went. He was like, okay, people were like listening and to see what he was doing. And he felt like he ruined his career after Spider-Man 3. Yeah, maybe. While Garfield, he took this opportunity to be like, hey, I'm going to step back a little bit and do like some of these indie film projects. Yeah. And Patrick Stewart gave an interview where he said he had trouble getting roles after Star Trek because they're like, yeah, we like you, dude, but why do we want Captain Picard in our movie? Right. And you're saying that to Patrick Stewart. It's like the dude is an accomplished actor, but you get typecast. What's going to happen to The Rock when he starts losing his body? Right. I mean, he's going to be turning 50 in about 5 months. Okay, let's say he can get more out of his body out of the next 10 years. Once he hits 60, what's he going to do? Because part of his appeal is that he's a big, strong, muscular guy who can beat up. You can believe that he can beat up 50 guys, Right. There's going to be an expiration date on that. It happened to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold was the biggest thing, and now he's doing direct-to-video. Well, the reason why Sam Raimi's doing Smart Dutchers too is because he wants to work with people that he knows that he can trust. Yeah. And to help prove, like that Spider-Man 3 wasn't his fault, and that he can still work with Marvel, but not that side of Marvel. Yeah. And mind you, his art has had a resurgence. A lot of people forget he did Evil Dead 1 and 2, and then you had Ash versus the Evil Dead. I don't know if Sam had any direct connection to the TV show, but it kind of, in a way, resurrected an interest in those older films. Like, oh yeah, and I don't know if anyone's ever seen Drag Me to Hell, a great movie, scary and campy. Sam Raimi has a certain style, and I think Multiverse of Madness is good. I still like Scott Derrickson, and I'm very excited to see that new movie that Scott Derrickson is doing. Have you seen the trailer for that, where a kid gets kidnapped by Ethan Hawke? Black Phone.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah,
And
I'm
I'm
looking
happy
forward to
with
that. I like, and also the thing is, like Scott Derrickson, he himself said that, like, yeah, I know exactly what Marvel's doing, and that's why I didn't care that they gave it to Sam Raimi, because
Yeah.
he loves Sam, and he's still
That's
gonna,
what that's what we're saying.
and also it's not like he hates Marvel Studios now. No, he can come back for Doctor Strange 3. That's the thing. Like he can come back for another Marvel Studios movie like that, or like series, whatever it may be. Like he still has a good relationship with Marvel. It's not that he's like left on bad terms.
Yeah.
And that's why I like that. Like Scott.
Exactly. And Andrew, I think you're making a good point. You could see Toby did not like Angelina Jolie did not look like she wanted to be in that goddamn Eternals movie. You could just tell she's like, crap. Making no money. I need to make money. I guess I'll do a Marvel movie. That wasn't the case with Toby. You could tell Toby was having fun, and maybe that's what changed his mind. You never know. Right now, conversations are being had. You never know. This is why I still hold out for the Snyderverse being restored. I think it's a possibility because money talks. Money talks, and they're thinking, hey, if we do a Justice League 2, maybe it's not happening on the timetable we want it to happen, but I think it's entirely possible. I think anything is possible right now. With the age of streaming, Disney Plus needs some better shows on their catalog. I'm not saying that these shows are bad. I just don't think they're anything special because every streaming service has TV shows that are better than what Disney Plus is doing, with the exception of maybe The Mandalorian. Drag Me to Hell is not a good movie, but it's been a long time. You know what? I haven't seen it since I saw it in theaters. I remember liking it a lot, and the ending just had my jaw on the ground. I saw it in theaters with my girlfriend at the time, and I think it was 2009. Damn. Anthony, they adding the Illuminati. I'm going to click clean up for you. They are adding the Illuminati in Doctor Strange 2. Michael Fassbender is back as Magneto. Wait, what? Okay, do you know if any of this is true?
Half of that is true.
Okay. All right.
Hey, Adam. I would say 2/3 of that is true because I mean, Illuminati was already in the movie. They were just adding a couple new members to it and adding introductions of those members. They weren't like they're adding more like character intros.
Caden, how do you feel about this? Austin had a very, 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 very important phone call he had to take. I don't think he'll be back for today's episode. I still want to talk to him about this. So how would you guys feel okay if we tabled Spider-Man for today, continue this conversation on Thursday with Austin?
Hold on.
Kane's really thinking hard about this. He's like,
I'm texting Ty about something. Wait, say that again. Say that. I'm sorry. It was because we're doing a stream tonight with Casey Walsh.
Yeah, from WWE.
And I thought I was going to be able to make it, but something came up where a friend who's leaving out of town tomorrow is having a holiday party, and they just texted me, invited me. So.
Oh, nice. So, nice. I have friends from England coming. Where the hell is Benson? Maybe they know each other. England's small, man. It's like the size of New Jersey. All right, folks, don't leave yet. We're going to talk a little bit about Batman. So, Empire has an issue coming out in 2 days with a focus on... Oh, wait, where did this come from? Sorry, that's not it. Nope, that's not it either. Where is it? Hold on. Oh, there we go. They're focusing on the Batman, and this is the next big movie that has an immense amount of pressure, an immense amount of buildup. There are a lot of fans, such as myself, who still want to see Affleck as a Batman. That's a great shot, by the way, right here. Reminds me very much of Tim Burton's Batman a little bit from the outline, but we got some pictures. And an interesting comparison. Matt Reeves said he's comparing Bruce Wayne to Kurt Cobain. And by that, I think he means that Bruce Wayne is going to take rock music and take the fun out of it. And then Batman is going to shoot himself in the head at the end.
Okay.
But it was actually Catwoman who did it.
Oh, my God.
If anyone gets what I'm trying to say, #Courtney Love. But what do you think of that? Kurt Cobain Because I mean, I know who Kurt Cobain is. I listen to Nirvana. But yeah, you know, someone said to me like, you know, Batman, at least this Bruce Wayne, kind of looks more like Batboy. Someone said to me, and I kind of agreed with it. Like so far, like I'm like, I'm not. I know he'll do a good job. I know he'll knock it out of the park. But it's interesting that they said Kurt Cobain. You know, and I'm thinking back to like some of the songs. You know, like Kurt covered what was that song, "The Man Who Sold the World." That was originally done by David Bowie, and the whole idea of the man who sold the world is a guy who pretended he was someone else and convinced the world that that's who he was, Ziggy Stardust. And maybe, you know, that's probably one of Nirvana's most famous songs. A lot of people don't know it's a cover. Kind of maybe there I can see the connection with Kurt Cobain, but I have no idea if Caden knows who Kurt Cobain is.
I don't, but
yeah, he was a singer for Nirvana.
Okay, but I know who Nirvana is, but I don't like. Sometimes
yeah, so
I
he was
don't
a lead
pay
singer,
attention.
and he killed himself very young, 28 years old. Shot himself. Some people have speculated that it might have been a murder. That Courtney Love did it, but very moody, amazing mind, incredibly talented, very existential tone to his music, to his lyrics.
Right.
So maybe, yeah, I could see that. But we got some pictures here. Catwoman, apparently, what's her name? Zoe Kravitz said that she studied felines, tigers, lions. She kind of, I don't know how she's going to mimic, but maybe she's doing something. She's studying them to learn the movement or maybe the personality of a feline animal, whether it's a domesticated cat or a tiger. But did you read about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ahoy, boys. What's up? Sir John, how you doing? Ty's here. But I think it's really interesting, you know, that that's where she's getting that from. But, you know, it's crazy. You know, this movie seemed like it was so far away. And when we saw that first trailer along the same night as the Snyder Cut, that was last August, you know, August 2020, you know, before I even joined Pop Culture Corner. But this movie is 2 months away, 3 months away. So we got January.
February. It's in March. It's like
yeah,
the first.
maybe it'll come out on my birthday again, because my birthday is March 18th this year, and maybe just like the Snyder Cut, it'll come out on my birthday, and it's a Friday too. But
it's March 3rd.
Crap, whatever. It would have been nice if it was the 18th, you know. But this movie is another one that has a lot of anticipation writing on it, and I know, Caden, you have seen. You have seen the Empire article, right? Or no, wait,
Yeah.
you read what I sent you, right? The Empire article. So, like, I'm really excited to, you know, I'm just curious what the hell this movie is going to be.
Yeah,
they say
it's
detective mystery, but we already know who the Riddler is, or do
but
we?
I think it's gonna be more of like, what is the Riddler after? Because like.
Yeah, so do I, Mlodkin. I'm gonna find that article because I keep going, Caden.
I think it's being more of like, who is the Riddler after type of deal. So rather than, and also like his whole thing, as we, you know, from Matt Reeves and Robert and trailers, we know that Riddler's after to reveal corruption and to, so I wonder if there's like an underlying corruption type thing that's going on here that involves Bruce, and like, what does Bruce have to do with this? Like,
okay.
why is he involved?
Have you played the Telltale Batman video game?
I know, yeah. I haven't played it, but I know the story.
That the Waynes were not as innocent as people thought. That Thomas Wayne, as a doctor, did some horrible things to some of the inmates in the name of exploration, and kind of destroys Batman's perception of his parents are, because he's looking at it as a kid. But the idea was actually the Waynes weren't that great. Maybe that's where that connects. But I'm going to read to you Mlodkin, his quote. He's talking about Robert Pattinson in the film Good Time. Quote, "In that movie, you could really feel his vulnerability and desperation, but you could also feel his power. I thought that was a great mix. He's also got that Kurt Cobain thing, where he looks like a rock star, but you also feel like he could be a recluse." Okay. So Bruce has been hiding away. He's not really a socialite at all. These are Matt Reeves' words. He's building all these little contraptions and things just with Alfred. And even Alfred thinks he's gone insane. Pattinson continues to detail that Bruce's mental state is reflected in the lingering damage to his Batman costume. He's been out every single night for 2 years, getting beat up and shot and stabbed and burnt, and it shows. There's a bullet graze on the cowl right at the beginning. I don't think that's been done before. So I guess the idea of being a recluse, Kurt Cobain,
They're dieharding it with the whole
very, very introverted person. And it's a shame we lost him. He was only 28, 29 when he killed himself, allegedly. Yeah, I can kind of see that because it adds to the mysterious. Like anytime an artist like that disappears, gets killed, Tupac, same thing. We tend to mythologize that person. And Kurt Cobain has been heavily mythologized, for better or worse, as being a true rock icon, somebody who changed the game. So in the same way, there's a public perception of who Bruce Wayne is versus who he actually is. So in this one, he's not really a socialite, which is kind of reminds me of the Tim Burton Batman. Because in the original Tim Burton Batman, he wasn't that much of a socialite. He was just sitting in his cave all by himself. He had a party and no one knew who he was. He's at a party.
Wow.
At Wayne Manor, and no one knows who Bruce Wayne is. He's just walking through the crowd, and they're like, "Who are you?" He's like, "I'm Bruce Wayne," and they're like, "Oh, okay." The idea was that, like, he's kind of like, he's not a social creature. He's not like the Christian Bale one. I kind of like those aspects of Christian Bale's Batman when he shows up with 2 supermodels of Batman Begins. He jumps in the tub. He basically acts like a spoiled rich brat,
Right.
And you'll be like, "Oh, that guy's probably a vigilante." They're like, "Oh, what a douchebag rich Playboy billionaire. He's got all this money, sits on his ass, banks supermodels." Like, that's kind of what they did with the Nolan ones, and only we know that that's part of his persona. Like, that's the fake Bruce Wayne that no one would suspect being Batman. But in this one, that's not the direction they're going. In this one, it turns out that Bruce Wayne is kind of a recluse, similar to how they kind of did the Tim Burton Batman, the first one. He just sits in a cave, sits in his manor, holds parties, no one knows who he is, and then he's Batman.
Right.
Vengeance.
I can't wait to see the Batman. Oh my god.
Yeah, so neither can I. That's gonna be another one. I don't know if it'll be as big as Spider-Man, but you never know. If the reviews start coming out.
I think either way, like if they make 200 or 300 million, it still makes its budget. And because it's $100 million budget.
Don't get me wrong, this is gonna be a big movie. I'm wondering, will it beat Spider-Man? No, but if it doesn't,
maybe not.
Tyler Lodkin says hi. Transportation Industries. Punisher has some really good books. Have you read any? And which did you like the most? I have everything that Garth Ennis has ever written for the Punisher. Welcome Back, Frank is great. Both the Max volumes and the Marvel Knights volumes. That's my favorite stuff. I do like some of John Romita Sr. stuff on the Punisher. Unfortunately, it's in a black and white collected. I wish I had some of the issues. But you know what? The Slavers might be my favorite Punisher story. In that one, it's Max Punisher. He's not Garth Ennis is not working. This is when with Steve Dillon, may he rest in peace. In that one, there's this woman who's being accosted by men. Punisher kills the men. And he kind of leaves the woman. She's like, "Please help me. I'm an illegal." He's like, "Not my problem. I did what I had to do." And she's like, "They killed my baby." The Punisher stops, turns around, takes her in, and he learns about the sex trafficking ring that's run out of Romania. And they have a corporation that kind of does this. It is violent. They show dead babies. They show women getting, and the Punisher, all of a sudden you're like, man, I cannot wait till he gets his hands on these people. And one of the most horrifying things, Sir John, that I've seen the Punisher do, he gets one of the boss's sons, and he knows that these guys are tough bastards. Like, they're not going to break easily the way most common crooks do under Frank Castle. So he anesthetizes the guy, takes him out in the woods, and the guy wakes up and finds out that his entrails have been taken out and they're hanging around a tree. And the Punisher's there is like, now let's start talking. Like, he's like, all right, you want me to torture you? I'll torture you. And the Slavers, by the way, this is a real issue, which blows my mind, is not talked about that much. Sex trafficking. Unfortunately, very big issue. And I didn't even know it was an issue until I read The Slavers by Garth Ennis, The Punisher. Again, great series run. The Slavers is good. One of my favorite ones, the Marvel Knights one, is when the Punisher, Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Daredevil team up to take out the Punisher. and the Punisher comes across a black market deal where they find a human slave who's being sold at an auction, and what the Punisher discovers, it's actually the Incredible Hulk, but he's lost his memory. So the Punisher uses the Hulk to beat up Wolverine. He blows up Wolverine with a rocket launcher, and then he uses the Hulk to beat up Spider-Man. It's great comic. I forgot what that one's called, but that was the end of the Marvel Knights run of the Punisher. Sorry, that was a little long-winded, but I'm a huge Punisher fan. Bruce Wayne is the Mask. Exactly. Yes. Okay. Let me look. You know what? I could use some comic book. I haven't been going to the comic books. The only comic books I do get are Heavy Metal magazine because you don't have to really go. I highly recommend Batman: The Imposter comic by Mattson Tomlin, to get everyone an idea about the tone and personality for the upcoming Batman movie in 2022. So let me look that up. Batman: The Imposter.
The Batman Imposter is the new comic that Mattson Tomlin wrote. I can't remember.
Oh, it's not even out yet.
It's not even.
It's 2022.
The first issue, I believe, came out.
First issue, so it's still coming out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll get this weekend. The comic.
Yeah, Mattson Tomlin also is writing this Terminator animation series for Netflix, and then he also has.
They gotta leave the Terminator alone, man. I mean, that franchise died a long time ago.
Yeah.
Watkins says, I'm not a fan of Garth Ennis as a writer. I like The Boys. The Preacher is good. Sometimes it hits the wrong buttons with me because I'm a Catholic, but I'm not one of those people who's like, cancel this comic book. I just don't read it that much. Yeah, I mean, he wrote The Boys. He has a very sick, twisted sense of humor, and that sick, twisted sense of humor saved The Punisher. If you ever read The Punisher like in 96, 97, 98, before Garth Ennis was writing it, The Punisher like went to heaven and made a deal with God to become like a fighter and kill for God or something. And he meets his family, and I'm like, they didn't know what to do with the character. And then Garth Ennis is like, he's a psychopath who happens to be a good guy, you know. John Bernthal will definitely back as Punisher. Kevin Feige is God. Yeah, but Anthony, this is what kind of worry. Will they give us the Punisher? Marvel right now, especially Disney Marvel, is more worried about the messaging than it is storytelling, which is why I'm wondering how much Sony had a hand in this movie. I don't know if they'll do the Punisher. Do you guys remember the backlash for the 2 seasons of Punisher that we got, in which, my opinion, he's actually toned down? He is actually more sympathetic. He is more caring. He is more accepting. He's more of a human being than he is in the comic books. In the comic books, granted, he's also like been doing it for like 50 years. But I'm actually kind of worried, and I'm glad that John Bernthal gave an interview. He said, I'm only going to do it if they do it right. And I don't know. They might take the Punisher, and the Punisher's going to be like, instead of killing people I hate, I'll save the ones that I love. And he hands him a book on peace, and they call him the Publisher. They know for a fact that general audiences who have never seen the Punisher or don't care about the Punisher, they'll be like, why is this man with a gun killing innocent people? I'm like, oh, God. You know, once I saw a pimp-like guy show up with 20 Russian women in the green card line everywhere, looking direction, everyone knew but did not speak truth. What? The green card line and everyone. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. All 3 issues of Batman came out, but it's not collected. Okay, so the trade paperback. I'm going to see if I'll call my comic book store and see if they have it. Unfortunately, my day to do that type of stuff is Friday, and this Friday is Christmas Eve. Oh, check this out. Okay, guys, quick story before we move on. I had the greatest eggnog. So tonight I'm at Bonk's. If you're in Philly, stop by Bonk's. I'll buy you a beer on Pop Culture Corner if you're of age. If not, I'll buy you a Coke. But I had the best eggnog. It's a Puerto Rican eggnog called Coquito. Have you ever heard of it?
I think I have.
Holy crap. It was phenomenal. And it's actually, who made this? And 2 of our chefs, they're Puerto Rican. They're sisters. And I was like, listen, I will give you money. Can you make some of this for me tomorrow so I can take it home for Christmas? Mwah. Molto bene. Molto bene. Molto bene. Guys, look it up. Coquito, if you're old enough to drink. Get some rum. Make some of that Coquito with a little bit of cinnamon. Ooh la la. But yeah, I'm excited. That looks so good. That looks nice.
Can't wait.
I can't
see
wait.
it.
Can't wait to see the Batman. Oh, sorry.
Oh, wrong.
Oh, who did that?
God.
Integrity, my man. Where have you been, my friend? Integrity with the brass balls. Good for you. Keaton McGuire and Garfield are in these multiverse films as a way to introduce these characters to younger audiences while simultaneously using these movies as primer for their potential solo films. Possibly, yeah. And look,
I think Keaton and Garfield.
I grew up with Keaton. I'm not that old.
Yeah, I think Keaton and Garfield have more of a chance to get like a spin-off from these movies than Maguire, honestly.
Yeah,
but
we'll
with
see.
like because Keaton can do Batman Beyond.
You can do Batman Beyond, and with Keaton, I think they're also testing the waters. How well do people take to him?
Yeah,
you know,
to like this new audience
like Michael Keaton,
Michael Keaton, man.
That Flash movie has a lot to balance because it seems like they're doing No Way Home as their first movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like they're doing the big event film as the first movie. I was like, yeah, let's do that first. Oh, DC hasn't.
It's like you're first introducing Captain America. It's like, let's do Serpent Society.
Yeah, or like the Civil War. That's kind of what they did with BVS. Let's do BVS first. Let's do Civil War first. But I mean, I have trust in what's the name of the director?
Andy Muschietti.
Yeah, I have trust in him. And
Andres.
How tall is Sasha Kaje? Because when I saw her next to the Flash, she looked kind of short. Maybe
I think she's 5'7".
Okay, so she's tall. Okay, never mind. I don't know because I always thought like
Ezra's short.
But she looks really tall compared to him. I'm saying, or she looks short compared to him. I don't know.
I think he has those those heels. He wears the heel things.
Sir John says, "Here's a little joke. People in Japan get sick drinking Bailey's. Nobody orders it, so the bottles might stay 3 years on the shelf. Everyone tells you not to order it. I love Bailey's. In fact,
it's the white bottle, right?
Yeah, I that's what they call
it.
Or
black. It's white or black.
Black, but it's milk. It's a cream with a little bit of whiskey.
Yeah.
I usually buy the generic brand because it's cheaper. Because a bottle of Bailey's can be like $40. So I usually get the generic brand. You put that in your coffee. I drank a whole thing of coffee with Bailey's Irish Cream during a show one time. But you know what? I was going to talk to Ty about maybe getting out of Thursday. But if are you going to be around Thursday? I said you may not be around Thursday, right?
Depends.
If it is, let's all get some eggnog out. Let's have a relaxing. Let's talk more Spider-Man. Let's talk more Batman. Integrity says, exactly, that's the point. I think this whole reason they're doing it, if it sees, they'll greenlight solo films. Keaton, Garfield, Maguire could all use a better final film. It's funny. Keaton, Batman never got a final film. I mean, technically, Batman Forever was supposed to be the same Batman, just a different actor because the Alfred's the same. The Gordon is the same. They changed the Harvey Dent, but they didn't really give a crap about continuity back then. But yeah, I don't know if Keaton's going to do a solo film as Batman. I know he's going to be wearing the cowl in this one, but I think it's going to set up. He's 70 years old. He probably doesn't want to do it anymore. And at least the physicality of it. I mean, Kiefer Sutherland can barely run. If you saw Kiefer Sutherland turn 50 and he won last 24 season, he could barely run because when you get that old, I'm telling you can't do it.
That's why your body with him being Vulture, I think that might be the best way to go. Like one more movie as Batman and then continue being Vulture. Because Vulture is not as physical as the Batman because all he does is just swing an arm right and left and he moves the wings and stuff, he's in a stilt, he's like and stuff like that. So it's like, and
most of it's going to be CGI. Like, here's the thing, they could do a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man because I'm telling you, 90% of that was CGI. The only time it wasn't was when he took his mask off and he was standing in costume. The rest of that was CGI. Tobey Maguire does not need to be athletic to do a Spider-Man 4 or a subsequent film. Michael Keaton, even in this one, they're going to be using a stuntman a lot. That's not his fault. He's 70 years old. He's going to be 71 this year. You can't blame a guy. They're going to have to get a body double to play those scenes. Look, even Affleck, they used a body double for those fight scenes. Since that show launched, I'm going to say something so to get me in trouble. When Batman Beyond was on, I watched it casually, but I wasn't a huge fan because I was like, he's not my Batman. I want Bruce Wayne. So I just watched the Justice League series. I was like, I don't give a crap about Terry McGinnis. I mean, now I love it, but at the time I was like, no, I want to see Bruce Wayne.
Right.
He's my Batman. I had the same reaction to Miles Morales came out at the same time I was reading comics. I'm like, nope. I don't care if it's Brian Michael Bendis. Nope. Peter Parker's my Spider-Man. But, as you get older, you change those attitudes. You know what made me I was okay with Miles Morales, but made me a Miles Morales fan. Into the Multiverse, made me a huge Miles Morales fan, and the Spider-Man Miles Morales game.
Yeah, I think those two, like, although like they're still fans of Miles Morales, I think those two projects really put Miles on the board again.
Well, here's the thing, Sir John. Watch my show earlier. That's what I was saying. I was saying that this one felt like the least Marvel movie of the three Spider-Man.
It felt like a Sony movie.
It felt like more like a Sony movie. There was actually drama and intensity. It was boring in the scenes in between. See, Austin said something like that, where he said
I think Homecoming was a mix of Marvel and Sony.
Yeah.
And then Far From Home, you can tell that Sony was not wanting to do much. So Marvel took a hand, and there was like, and then obviously we know what happens after that. Marvel and Sony split for a little bit.
Sorry, as I was saying, I have issues.
And then Marvel and Sony were going to split, but then, everything happened. So it's one of those things where it's like you can definitely tell because of No Way Home which people have more of a hand in it. And like what Jeffrey Ford said last night, that John Watts was really a hero for that,
I'm not going to say that out loud because I'm not getting demonetized, but
that's
what we do here at Jivin with Jack. That's what we talk about. But guys, real quick before we move on, let's just say goodbye to Aunt May.
Bye, Aunt May.
Hey. She is a gorgeous woman. I mean, there's something about.
I mean, she's almost 60.
Yeah. Did you see her when she was like in her 20s and 30s?
Yeah.
Caden, your dick would have a stroke if I pardon the metaphor, but like, holy crap, she still is gorgeous for her age, but like, I mean, she's like straight up Italian. Like,
I think she hasn't aged. Darker. She hasn't aged.
In fact, I think they make her look older in
No Way Home.
No Way Home. Like they need to
they do. They add a little like either they don't have her like dye her
I don't know. Have they come out yet? A lot of kids, because the last time I was at the comic book store a couple weeks ago, it hadn't come out yet. It wasn't coming out monthly. It was coming out like every couple of months. But yeah. Oh, Integrity's enjoying it. Let's go. Let's just leave. You know what? From now on, every episode of Jiving with Jack, we're just gonna do it like this. I'll be right here. We'll have and we're just gonna continue the show like this as a tribute out of respect to the character of Aunt May.
In memoriam, Aunt May.
What's that movie where she I can't remember the movie, but there's a movie, right, where she needs to get a ride. She's like in the middle, and she's got like a jacket on, right? And you don't see it, but like this truck's like coming down the road, and she just flashes them. And the truck stops, and all of a sudden the door opens, and like, yeah, come on in.
Oh my god.
She's great. I mean, her. Have you ever seen What Women Want?
Yes.
It's a great movie with Mel Gibson before he became an asshole. But like, there's a great scene where like, because Mel Gibson can read women's minds, he knows how to please them like really well. So he's like reading her mind as he's in bed with her.
Oh
and
my god!
It's hilarious. It's a PG-13 sex scene, and she's like, "Oh my god, thank you!" Like she is so great. She has like those chops, and we're just gonna continue to do the show like this.
And if Austin wants to come in, he can come in.
Out of respect, this is out of respect.
This is in memoriam. This is not.
Yeah, in memoriam, Aunt May. Were you surprised they killed her?
No.
Okay, because part of me was like, I don't know, they're gonna go there. I
didn't know they were gonna kill her there. I thought they're like, because we saw Goblin push her.
Yeah.
And I thought it was gonna be like, okay, whatever. And then I thought it was gonna be like, oh, maybe some injuries later on that will like kill her.
Well, you know how they did in the first Spider-Man Tobey Maguire movie, where like
it's like here's what
her.
MJ and when he's like in the apartment when that type of thing, but I thought it was gonna be more of like, oh, here's Aunt May and here's like 50 people in this thing, choose.
But like we saw her in the hospital, the old Aunt May, she's like those eyes, those green eyes, like, okay, she's not dead.
They're terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of hoping like that. Hold on one second, guys. You know what? Let's be a little bit more respectful. But you know, I what the hell was I saying? I was kind of expecting like them not to go that far. I was like, they're not going to go that far and kill her off.
It's a
You know what I mean?
pretty dark movie for Spider-Man.
And I'm okay with that. I am very okay. With that. Yeah, guys, let's stop gawking for a second.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Who did that? That was probably Ty.
Ty put that. Ty, stop doing that.
Pay your respects, guys.
No, we have to go back to this one. Obviously.
Yeah. This one you don't get to see me. Get to see me. Like I literally moved my chair so you can have. This is not bad. That's the wrestler, by the way. Great performance in that movie. She plays a stripper who the wrestler, played by Mickey Rourke, loves. This is an Oscar-winning movie, folks, and we're paying respects to Aunt May. Were you kind of surprised the way they kind of ended the Hogan? Do you think it would have been sadder had Happy Hogan still been with her when she died?
I mean, he was like, the thing was like, I think he was they were still in love with each other, but it was a matter of like, you know, Aunt May didn't want to put
real quick technically today, because we are going full spoilers. That I did give a warning that today we're going to full spoilers for today.
We didn't.
Yeah, we did. We did say we're doing.
Oh, we did. I was like, oh, wait.
We did. Like, well, I did before. You were late, and then Austin was late, and then Austin came, and then left. But look at what you're missing. I mean, what other show's going to do this? I mean, no, not today. Yeah. Do you see what I see?
It's like, you know, let's add Austin back in. Never mind.
Yeah, no, we don't want Austin here. We add Austin. It's going to ruin the whole. Like hypothetically, we add Austin. You know what? Still kind of works. He's just cut out, you know. But yeah, it was a good moment. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't as attached to this Aunt May just because she kind of was absent in the second film. She's like in the beginning of the movie, and she's a couple of phone calls, but she's not in it that much. Like in Spider-Man 2, she's in it a lot, like the Tobey Maguire one. But yeah, I thought her and Happy should have been together, and that would have made her death even worse. I think. I don't know.
For me, like, I felt like
maybe cheesy. If you have like a freaking ring ready, like, you know.
I wish it was like, honestly, like I love Marissa Tomei and like she's a great actress and everything, but that scene, like when she was like having her dying breath and giving that speech, it hit me, but it didn't hit me as hard as I thought it would. Like I wish
because we weren't necessarily, going back to my point, that attached to this Aunt May that much.
Right.
Like it's still it's sad for him. You feel his pain. But like I said, she's in the first movie. She's great in the first movie. In Homecoming, you know, she's teaching Peter how to dance. They're YouTubing how to do a tie. Again, that's a great scene because you realize that as a lady, she's like, damn it, Caden. Caden's like the police. Like, oh, no. But wait, look, our viewership is dropping. Look at that. Guys, we'll put it back up for a super chat. But
hey.
But here we go. She's like, there's the thing, like, okay, there's no guy in that house to teach him how to do a tie. Like, you don't think about that. Like, how did I learn to tie a tie? My dad taught me. This is how you do a tie. This is how you do English knot or British knot.
How did I learn how to do a tie? I got one of those bow ties that are already made and clip on the back.
I went to Catholic. And if you kept wearing them, they would make fun of you, like, "Oh, you don't know how to tie a tie." So, you know, by fifth grade, we had to learn.
It's like this hook and like the clasp.
Yeah, we used to wear them as kids. So when we were in Catholic school, you used to have these little ties for little boys.
Oh, I didn't wear it's like a bow tie that's like has a string around it. It still has that fabric that makes the tie. Yeah, and it has like a hook and like a ring in the back, and you clip it.
You clip it. Yeah, they're called clip-on ties. But like when we got to fifth grade, all the boys would make fun if you still wore one. So then we got the actual tie. But that's a great scene. She, as a woman, generally, not all women, most women, with exceptions, don't know how to tie a tie because it's not really a traditional female thing to wear.
Right. Marissa Tomei did say that.
Only YouTube it, okay? Yeah.
Right. Marissa Tomei did say that before they pitched her the Happy and May relationship, that she was going to pitch them May having a girlfriend.
Oh.
Like.
Are you telling me we could have seen this and maybe Florence Pugh together?
And I was funny. I was like thinking like that was kind
I
of
know,
hinted at.
man.
That was kind of
Will you
hinted at
make
in
me some macaroni and cheese, please?
it was kind of hinted at in
Now,
Into the
forget
Spider-Verse.
Catherine Hahn. That's the Disney spinoff I want to see. Aunt May meets Yelena Belova.
Oh my
Just
god.
in their apartment.
She breaks into the wrong apartment and then she sees Aunt May. She's like,
She sees Aunt May like this. Who are you?
um,
Are you one of Peter's friends? I am a Black Widow. Why don't you come in? I'll make you some macaroni and cheese. And then she goes wearing that. Disney, this is $1 million ideas here. I mean, did Uncle Ben just die then? No responsibility talk on May dating again. I bet she died from it too. He died. Yeah, I mean, we were talking about that earlier. Like Uncle Ben may have just died natural causes, not because of something Peter did, which is the traditional canon. And I'm okay with that because now this introduces the guilt factor. This Spider-Man is going to feel guilty for the rest of his life.
I think because, like, honestly, like, Uncle Ben does have like an imprint on Peter in the comics and in Toby and Andrew, but I think May has more of an imprint on him than anyone else.
Yeah.
So May
go ahead.
May dying, I think was like at this pivotal part, it's better than having to talk about Uncle Ben for him again,
Yeah. I like how this is actually gaining steam, guys. Tell Kevin Feige. Real quick, I think what might have made that scene feel maybe a bit uneven is because she gets up, she's walking around, and it seems for a couple minutes she's totally fine, like she just hurt her back, and then she collapses.
Like you can see there's like some stumbles in her steps.
Yeah, but
I wish it was more dramatic too, so then you'd be like, oh, okay, there might be something else going on here.
Yeah,
and then like you're like into like because once you hit her with the thing, you're like, oh, she's dead, and she gets up and then she starts walking, like still some stumbles, but still walking something like as if you just got knocked down. You aren't dying, but then she like starts stumbling more, and then you're like, okay, maybe there's something going on, but whatever.
Dude, there's something about Italian women. Like Carla Gugino is another one. Just, oh man. Okay. Now that you brought up Carla Gugino, who was supposed to be Zack Snyder's Catwoman, how about a DC Marvel crossover? Now that
oh my god,
where is it? Back. We have this Catwoman. I'll make $1 billion. I'll pay $30 on Disney Plus again and again to watch that. I'm just going to leave it up here for a few minutes, guys. Enjoy it. I did ask for a super chat, but since you guys don't want to do that. Caden, you said you got to step away. I think going back before killed mentally, see what might have worked better is if she knocks over and he runs over to her and she's dying. Maybe the scene would have flowed a little bit better. But I think they wanted to fake you out like, oh, no, she's fine. Everything is fine. MA is fine. Everything's okay. And then she's collapsed. She's like, oh, no. Yeah. Dude, Carla Gugino, if you've ever seen this one season show called The Brink in that with her and what's the name of the guy from Shawshank Redemption who played Andy Dufresne? Whatever, him, Jack Black. It's actually a pretty good political comedy. She's, my land up. Ooh, how about She-Hulk with Aunt May? How about She-Hulk with Aunt May? I'm just saying. With great... I can't say it, Jedi. We're going to get demonetized. Almost every episode of my show gets demonetized for some stupid reason. One time I think we got demonetized because we were talking about Britney Spears and I had her with the snake and the bikini, and I think someone reported it. They're like, this is problematic and this is offensive. And every episode of Jivin with Jack gets demonetized, which is why we really do try to push you guys to use super chats because we lose money 5 hours a week with this. Who is the Giovanni Giorgio of the NCU? Let me see. Giovanni Giorgio. Oh, he's an Italian composer. The father of disco. I don't know. Who's the Giovanni Giorgio of the MCU. I have no idea. But Caden has left us. So while we're here, we actually got to wrap it up because I got to go host trivia. But let's real quick. We're not going to totally leave Spider-Man behind. Hopefully on Thursday, Austin will be back. And I might take next week off just to get a week off because, Christmas and New Year's. But let's talk a little bit about that Jake Paul fight. I'm not a boxing expert. I know some of you watch boxing. I don't. I watch professional wrestling because, like the MCU, I know it's fake and I can enjoy it more. A lot of people think that fight was rigged. I don't know much about it, but we could talk about it. All right. So people are saying that Jake Paul's fight with Tyron Woodley was rigged. And basically they're saying is that Jake signaled him like with his glove, like did something, and the guy dropped his arm, and then Jake hit him. Now, I watched that shot from multiple angles. When he hits this dude, you just see like an ocean wave of sweat go flying off. So he really did hit that dude. You can't fake that. When that glove hits, like you just see like all this sweat, just like a tsunami off the guy's head. I think also part of it is, look, the Logan brothers are very unlikable. I think they represent everything that's wrong with society. They have become rich and famous by being douchey, obnoxious psychopaths. And I think that bothers a lot of us. I know it bothers me a little bit, but, I kind of move on from it. But this is the guy who said his brother won the fight after Floyd Mayweather clearly won. And he was like, yeah, my brother won. Did you see? It's like, no, he didn't. They're the type of guys who say they won even when they lost. They are obnoxious, but I will give props where props are due. I could not box like that, even if I trained very hard every day for the next 10 years. I don't know much about this other boxer. I know it's easy to want to say that this was rigged. I don't know much about the boxing industry to tell you if that's possible or not. I was hoping Austin would be here with me and maybe we could go over some of the footage. But what do you guys think? I mean, again, I had no idea about this fight. We did, when Jivin with Jack was still TY's corner, we did cover the Mayweather stuff a lot. Everyone's loved. You guys want to talk about this? What you want to see is this. Are you happy? Let's talk about Jake.
Oh my God, no. We can continue talking about the Paul brothers.
The Paul brothers, yeah. I mean, again, they're obnoxious, they're douchey, but I think that's one of the reasons everyone's saying it's rigged, because they don't want to admit that maybe he's good. I mean, look, they have a lot of money. They can afford good trainers. They have aggression in them. So it's very much possible that they won. I don't know. That he won. I don't know. I've seen videos analyzing that it's both fake and like, no, dude, like when he hits that dude, like you see, and then they're saying, he was paid to take that shot. I'm like, that's a hell of a shot to take. Isn't there an easier way to lose?
I mean, if he was paid to take that, I'm sure he would have been like, don't hit me so hard where I knock out.
Yeah.
But it clearly shows that he's knocked out.
I mean, here's the thing. They also probably have to sell it. Like, dude, look, when I hit you, you got to take a hard, and maybe he's going to make a lot of money out of this. Like, getting punched in the head is not fun. Despite what you see in movies where people get punched in the face multiple times, they just have a little bit of a cut. That's not how it happens. You get punched once hard in the jaw, it will break your jaw. That is why these guys wear gloves. All right? Like, there's a problem with movies where people think, like, oh, it's very easy to, like, get beaten up and walk up or get shot. You're like, oh, yeah, you get shot in the leg. Like, a lot of times, unfortunately, when we've had these unfortunate shootings, people say, why didn't the police just shoot the guy in the leg? I'm like, it's not that easy. You're watching too much movies where you can shoot someone in the leg and they can still die. It's only in the movies where someone gets shot through the leg and they get back up, like they put a belt around it. Like, violence hurts. A strong punch can do a lot of damage. And even with gloves on, if you get punched in the head, it can do some serious damage. So if it was fake, I don't know. I know that people have opinions about it. My only question is your opinion ignoring whether you love or hate Jake Paul? But let's see what the comments are saying. People are stupid. You cannot fake a knockout. So, Anthony, I think the other case they're making is that he was knocked out, but that was planned. I mean, I don't know, but they say like he did something with his glove like this, and then the guy dropped his glove, and then he hit him like it was planned. Hey, you know what? Matt Murdock's dad was supposed to fake a fight. He didn't, and he got killed. Jack the Devil Murdoch. Mask of Shy, or is it Muskovsky? I forget. Oh, it's true. You know, I don't know about this particular situation, but they've been bringing. Oh yeah, yeah. I have no doubt, and I even think that the Mayweather Paul fight. I think Mayweather could have knocked him out, but like they were like, all right, listen, we're doing this for the money. We're doing this for the pay-per-view buys. You guys take it easy on each other. Floyd's got to win, but Paul's got to stay standing up, you know. And maybe even with the Mayweather McGregor fight, same thing. They made a deal ahead of time because it's more about the money that's going to be made. Maybe in the feet, but while that could work better, you need better aim. Again, I don't know much about boxing. I did a little kung fu when I was a kid. Last fight I was in was, last August. But, like, again, one punch, that's enough. You never have 10-minute fight scenes. But Mask is okay, or Alessandro. I'll say the Lady Gaga song. That's Alejandro, though. Don't call my name. Don't call my name. Alejandro. I think Caden is snacking or he disappeared. But anyway, that's all I wanted to do.
I'm snacking.
Yeah, he's snacking, eating during my show. I ate before my show because I have respect. But, guys.
I woke up like 20 minutes before the show.
I woke up like 10 hours ago. I got to go to work. I got to shower, shave.
I went to sleep like 12 hours. Less than 12 hours ago. So,
boy, you boys and I work on that sleep schedule of yours. But listen,
I do need to work on it.
Listen, guys, where I would like to continue having the Spider-Man conversation on Thursday. I would like all of you to have some of your objections ready. I mean, Mlodkin did. I'm glad Mlodkin, he didn't turn this into a love fest. He said, look, there's the issues I have with the movie, there's the jokes I like. Let's have this conversation, continue this conversation on Thursday. Hopefully, Austin will be back by then. He had a very important phone call. I don't know how it went. I'm assuming, I don't know, because he's not back yet, but he's still in the backstage. He's muted out. So keep him in your thoughts. Hopefully, everything worked out. We'll continue this conversation. This is a movie that I'm glad we'll be able to talk to for a while. I couldn't do this with Shang-Chi. Didn't really care about Black Widow to do it. Eternals, I didn't even bother seeing. I've been to the movies 24 times this year. And I decided
Austin's phone call is
I
about
saw West Side
FBI.
Story instead of the Eternals.
The FBI has called Austin because Austin's not his real name.
Mm-hmm.
Austin is an FBI agent, and we have to reveal that now.
Yeah.
So he's gonna be really looking into every single person that watches their shows. It's because we're all in a case.
Doing right now. This is what Austin's doing right now.
I just want to see some tongue. I just want to see some. I'll pay for it. Just give me some tongue. Get the tongue in. Happy birthday to you.
That's my co-host. Riding a big, well, you know what it is.
Do we though?
Yeah.
It's a mechanical.
I would give up I own this house. I would sell that house to see her writing that. That's how the that's the post-credit scene.
Oh my god.
Well, I'm sad Marissa Tomei is not going to be in these movies anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Very sad. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. I do appreciate the support. I want to thank all of you who are watching, all of you who commented. I love your passion for Spider-Man. Andrew, it was nice to see you again. I mean, you're always here, but it was good to see you, get your energy out. Mlodkin, I want to thank you. I want to thank everyone who was here. Mask of Shy, Integrity, Anthony Beltray, Jedi, Exploit, Deleted Sensei. Sir John, thank you for joining us. We'll be back Thursday. I think Ty has a show later on tonight. He's going to have someone from GWW, which is not a wrestling company. I just found out. Kate Bishop's mom versus. How did I miss this? How did I miss this comment? Kate Bishop's mom versus Aunt May versus Angelo Gina versus Black Widow's mom. Oh yeah, Black Widow's mom. What's her name? Rachel Weisz. Yeah. Can't always get what you want. Guys, I want to thank you. Caden, can you just get the outro button ready? I want to thank you guys for being here tonight. Make sure you watch Ty's video or show live tonight with the guy from GWW. We have new content coming out daily.
6:30. My time.
9:30 Eastern time, 6:30
Yeah.
Pacific. Use Google to figure out what time zone you're in, but it'll be in about 3 hours. We're going to have that.
Yeah.
So make sure you check that out. We'll probably have something on Wednesday. Make sure to check out Austin's channel, Little Big Studios.
Little Big City Studios.
Ty and Austin worked together last night. They interviewed Jeffrey Ford, who was the editor for Spider-Man No Way Home. In fact,
as motorcycles ride by.
Yeah. Check it out. Check it out. It's good stuff. We're always here because we do it for you, and we do it for the culture.
Kevin, get in here!